Justin? Hello? Hello, Justin? Justin, are you there? Justin,
Tracy, can you hear me?
no, something's wrong. Are you muted? What's going on?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can't see you. Just a sec. I'm all this, I don't know why all this stuff is in my way. Here, hang on.
I gotta move this stuff.
Yeah,
Cheapers.
oh my gosh. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, it's Tracy's Tuesday Talk. Thank you for joining me, but I'm not sure, like, what's going on?
Yeah, we still got loads of toilet paper over here, apparently.
Apparently we do. Yeah, and I've added Kleenexes to my hoarding. I don't know why, and I don't know why toilet paper was, a thing, but
right?
Yeah, but it reminds me of this whole year that we've been in. Oh my God.
I have to be honest, a year ago, I didn't know hand sanitizer came in a 1 liter volume pack. But here we are a year later.
And how many of those did you buy though? See, that's the key.
Full honesty, that one's from the church. I'll bring it back.
I think I bought like 3 or 4 big like refill bottles, and I use it all the time, but I haven't actually gone through it as fast as I thought I would go through it. Yeah.
Mostly because I just never leave my house now.
Right, exactly. We have soap and water in our house. Right, exactly. So I just wanted to check in with everyone because lo and behold, it has been a year since we had our last worship service, a year. And none of us expected this. None of us. And I wanted to ask you specifically because I was still on sabbatical. I still had 2 weeks of sabbatical left when this all hit the fan, and you were on your own. So tell me and tell us a little bit about how that was for you.
Yeah, it was a couple of frantic phone calls and a little bit chaotic meetings with the executive council and putting plans together and trying to figure out how we were going to do this whole thing. And then a year ago we met up in the lounge early on Sunday morning before the AGM, because we sort of had that conversation too, that like it was the Sunday of the AGM, we needed to have our meeting, but we really we're seeing the storm brewing, and we made the decision that that would be our last meeting, and then we would sort of pivot to the online format without really knowing what that format would look like
and how long it would go for.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thankfully, I mean, we have the best people on the planet, I think, at St. Thomas, and we were able to pivot and really make that happen and go with the online only service. And thankfully Dan and Carrie and a whole bunch of other people really stepped up to make that work. And here we are a year later, and we have all of the music folks on board now doing stuff, and we got online stuff happening, and we got new AV and camera equipment on the way and getting that stuff done. I feel we're a year sort of just beginning to sort of get into the rhythm of things and trying to find our legs of it here. It's taken us a year, but I think things are finally going well. So
yeah, I agree. Like it was a little bit of a gong show coming back. I mean, you and I talked, even when I was still on sabbatical, talked about, should I come back early or should I, like, what, and no, finish it out. And if nothing's going to change in terms of, panic, it was still very much in that mode. And I don't think, I know for me personally, and other people I've talked to, none of us thought that this was going to be a long-term thing, right? Like we thought, okay, we'll shut down, we'll lock down for a few months or weeks even, and we'll see what it does. And we kept putting off in person, right? Because things changed like moment to moment. And finally, executive council said, at some point, we're going to have to live with this. At some point, we're going to have to live with it. And so what does that look like? And that totally changed my way of thinking in terms of, we might not have in-person worship, but if this is going to be a long haul, and that's what it started looking like, we need to work with it, right? And to figure out how to do it with it. And that's when people really, like you and I mean, the leadership of the church really stepped up first, right? Pastoral care started their phone fan outs and making sure people were connected, and eventually, like, almost everybody came on board to like you said, to be part of that ongoing kind of team, right? And now, we connect with people intentionally, right? We're finding different interesting ways of um of of doing church and doing what it means to be, church in the
Yeah,
world.
I think that's something that's been really, really interesting over the last year for me, is that early on, I mean, a year ago, we were very reactive to the way things were constantly changing. And then things did sort of shift, and we sort of became less reactive and a little bit more proactive. We began building those partnerships. We began visioning for what church looks like outside of the church walls,
Yeah.
and how do we be church in the world, rather than how do we lament the loss of church. And I mean, we're still lamenting a lot of that. We have lost people that we haven't really been able to say goodbye to. We
Yeah.
have we're still mourning all of these things that we haven't been able to do as a people of faith and as a community, that deeply cares for one another. But we shifted our focus from being purely reactive to
Mhm.
to reimagining those things that were still possible and that are still possible, as people and as a community and as church, and church within the world. And I think that, to me, is really, really a testament to who we are as a community.
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally echo that and agree with that. It's amazing, and I think people have amazed themselves at how creative we can be, and we can't use that excuse anymore of, well, we've always done it that way, right?
Right.
Like, we got forced into not doing that, right? And so it's interesting. And now I'm hearing people saying, these Zoom calls, that would be nice in the middle of the winter. Let's have Zoom calls going forward, right? And not discount that as we don't have to have everything in person,
Yeah.
right? And
Just
yeah.
last week we heard that from someone saying, like, hey, wouldn't it be so great that even when things go back to normal, and we're all looking forward to when we can be in the same room as a group and really have those conversations that aren't possible over things like Zoom.
Yeah.
But even when we do go back to the way things were, wouldn't it be great if when a blizzard rolls in, we can go and just do a Zoom meeting or whatever that looks like? Because, hey, we don't have to go out into the crazy weather. We don't have to, like, risk the roads. We don't have to have that crazy commute
Hmm.
all the time. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. So what are those things that you feel like we're gonna keep carry on when things go back? What do you think?
Well, I think that's going to be one thing. I think being in connection with people, like being intentionally in connection with people, I think people we have realized who it's become very real to us who is more isolated than others, and how many people we've really intentionally reached out to on a regular basis, and knowing that, some people that we thought were really isolated are actually, boy, they have lots of support and lots of, they're fine. Other people who we thought really maybe not wouldn't have too much of an issue, are struggling. And so just people, like, just that awareness, I think our awareness has been heightened. And
Yeah.
so I think that's one thing that will for sure carry on. I think for me personally, I think I'm going to, like, cold and flu season, I'm going to the store with a mask on. Like, I just think that's a great idea. Like, I've never been so healthy over the winter as I have been this year. Like, I just think I would love that. I think that would just be awesome. And I also think that the creativity, people are going to be less scared to try something new, I think, going forward, because, we've been through a pandemic. Like, it's not we managed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think some of the things that we've lost for sure, not including people, but some of the things we've lost, we've either learned to manage without, or we've adapted it somehow, like we've changed it somehow so that we were able to adjust, and it seems to be working, like we're more adaptable than we give ourselves credit for, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the one group, I mean, I mentioned this before, but the one group am worried about, or was worried about, is the young people, kids in school and high school, and that. But I think they too have found a way to adapt, right? I think it took them a little bit longer, maybe, um, but reality sets in at some point, right? And so I think, yeah, I think the way that we're doing things, even at a distance, families are at a distance, or family members are at a distance, boy, we can still celebrate grad and celebrate birthdays. We don't have to lament as much not being able to be in person to Thanksgiving, right? Put somebody on a screen. It's not, it's if people can't travel, or if they don't feel comfortable traveling yet, or whatever it is, um, we make that work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in this past year, I have to admit that I've had some down days for sure, and I've mentioned some of my check-ins. I've had some pretty down days. For the most part, though, I'm pretty okay. What does fine
Pretty
stand for?
upbeat at the best of times.
Right. What does fine stand for when somebody says they're fine?
Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
No, I'm not like that. I'm actually fine. I have days, though. I have moments of being fine. But I think for the most part,
Moments, though. I think we all have those moments.
even
I think
in
that's fine to acknowledge.
that's right. I think so too. I think so too. I think we put on a strong face a lot of times, and even not pandemic times, right? We go through those kinds of things. And what I've learned in this last year is that reaching out is not a weakness. Reaching out is a strength, and hopefully that's something that our society has learned too. That we've learned is that's not it's not a sign of weakness to be able to say I need extra care right now. Bless you, Todd.
Brings up a great point too. How has the working from home been for you?
Actually, it's funny because when I started sabbatical in January a year ago, so I haven't been back to work really. I mean, I come in on Thursdays for filming, and that's about it. And like working from home, it's a good thing I actually decided I was going to buy a desk before I went on sabbatical, because I didn't even have a desk. And so I thought, no, I need something place to work. Well, thank goodness I did that, because like, yeah, I've been sharing an office and in my bedroom with my husband. So how about you? You're in the basement. A lot of people are in the basement of their homes.
Yeah, Candace and myself, like a lot of people, have a little corner of the basement set up. We have a little corner set off that's not cascaded full of 2-year-old toys. Everything else is rolling chaos
Yeah.
around our house. Um, but yeah, we've sort of made it work. But those early days were tough for sure. And I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing that Candace and I had to figure out was our schedules with childcare, and how to sort of do that handoff, and how do we sort of schedule our days and our weeks so that each of us could have some intentional office work at home time and space.
Yeah.
Once we sort of got through those fine early days, and really sort of sat down and had some open and honest conversation about what both of us needed in terms of time and space, things rolled a lot more smoothly. And for me, that's one of the things that I've certainly learned to appreciate is open and clear communication, um, and how much we take that for granted when we're sort of in the office. I mean, you and I have talked about this. When we're in the office and just sort of like bumping into each other, communication is super easy because you just sort of like touch base on like the little bits throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then you have to be like overtly clear and like overtly intentional to be like, okay, here's the list. And it's not in a like curt sort of like way, but
No.
like, hey, these are the things we honestly need to talk about. Cause like I keep forgetting the last time, like 4 times we talked or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been interesting, but there's been great things about working from home too. I mean, I can spend a day in the office uh, and still come up and have lunch with Declan and with Candace, and like that's pretty awesome.
That's
And
pretty awesome. Yeah.
right, like little man can go down for a nap, and when he gets up all like groggy and tired still, he comes and just like sits on my lap as I'm like on my computer, and like some of those things, like I wouldn't pass that up for anything.
Right.
But yeah, but doesn't mean it's all easy by any means.
No, that's right. Well, and one of the things that I learned being around Declan just on Thursday mornings and other times where we're working, I never thought it possible to be as connected to a new person without touching them, like
Yeah,
physically touching them. And I find it remarkable. Every time I see him, he knows who I am. He recognizes me. We play safely from a distance, like and it's just amazing how that relationship has developed without my touching him.
yeah,
And that was foreign to me before. And now like that was a big learning for me.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just goes to show you that, we rely very heavily on touch when really, I mean, those folks that, I mean, I've become more aware of folks that don't want to be touched,
Right,
right? Like this actually gives me, more of an insight to folks going forward, to not just assume that they want a handshake or a hug,
right,
to be a little bit more aware that, yeah, we can still connect on a very meaningful way, in a very meaningful way without physical touch. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
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 I think it's nice to be able to pull out those sort of learning edges
Yeah.
out of these experiences too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, there's lots. We've gone through a lot, and I know everybody that's watching has gone through a lot too. And so thank you for this time.
Absolutely.
Keep that handy, hey.
Yep.
And Justin and I both get emails from Nadia Bolz-Weber. She's a Lutheran pastor in the States, and she's fantastic. And we've used some of her prayers for meetings and those kinds of things. She had a great prayer from Sunday that I'm going to share with you here at the end of our time. And this is again a year after pandemic hit, right? All right. So I invite us into a time of prayer. Let us pray. Dear God, who made us all, a year ago we did not know that we were about to learn what we could lose and somehow live anyway, where we would find comfort and where it would elude us, whose lives matter to whom, why we have kitchens in our homes. In mid-March 2020, all I knew for sure is that hoarding toilet paper doesn't make you safe. It makes you selfish. But God, it feels like the world is about to open back up. And I'm both thrilled and kind of scared about that because I'm not who I was a year ago. I want so badly to hug my friends again and laugh like hell again and have amazing conversations again. And yet I am not sure how long I could do any of this before crying or just getting really quiet. My emotional protective gear has worn so thin, and grief just leaks out everywhere now. I'm so afraid that I will never be who I once was, and I'm also afraid that I will be. Not to mention, I'm not entirely clear what size jeans I wear as the me I am now. And yet, when I quiet my anxious thoughts, I start to suspect that I am now closer to the me you have always known and always loved. So help me trust that. As things change, help us be gentle with ourselves and with each other. We are all wearing newborn skin right now. Amen.
Amen. I love that image of the newborn skin, right? That again, I think she does a great job of articulating those things that we're all feeling,
Yeah.
but don't know how to put into words.
Yeah. Yeah. She's very good at that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're wishing everybody a great week in this commemorative anniversary. Make light of it if you can. Take time for yourselves. Reach out if you need to, and yeah, maybe have some fun with toilet paper.
Right?
Yeah.
What kind of crafts we can come up with? Yeah.
Exactly. Crafts. Don't toilet paper your house or your neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just save that. Yeah. That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.